Hi folks, Namaste. This is G from Beatskillz and I'm here to show you Synthwave Drums 3 in detail. Let's look at all the features, how this drum machine works, even program maybe our own fill or pattern and see how good this is and what this can do actually in its full functionality and totality. The same principles will pretty much apply to our other drum machines, which are Sequel, Vanillistic, Polyx and GRX. So if you own any of those or all of those in the drum bundle, then the same principles, the same logic applies. So here's a video which teaches you how to really use this drum machine. It's really simple, as you will see. It's so intuitive. This tutorial is probably not even required. Any case, so let's look at the interface and let's dive into things. Okay, so here you see this is basically our kit page, and the kit page you see drum pads here. Every drum pad is selectable with its name up here. So as soon as you select a drum pad, its parameters on the right side, which is the pad edit side, will change, showing you the waveform, showing you the sample name, the key where it is mapped. Then you see volume, pan, pitch, release. These are regular functions. And then a high pass and low pass filter. There is a solo and a mute per pad. So when you're playing your sounds and your drums, you want to shut off some sound or just listen to a particular one, you can do that immediately. There's a reverse. So you can actually reverse the entire sound and then you can trim it via the trim controls right here. You can even zoom in into the waveform if it's, trim tight. So you can really zone into the exact spot where you wanted to start or end, and pretty simple. That's what this is about. Here we have a master section. So the master section is basically the the stereo out, and the stereo out mode of this particular machine. You can then control the high EQ, the mid and the lows. These are set at musical frequencies. So it's very quick for you to totally master and shape the bass sound of the kit immediately without going into pages and various terms. Here is a compressor also. So as you go into the threshold, you can compress the sound more, make it more punchy. This is also designed for drums. So it's already designed. There's no need for all the additional controls and confusing you. Just making things really simple. That's the idea. I think that's very an important part of these kind of machines. Okay, on the right side, we have a global reverb parameter system. So here you can, change the decay of the reverb and the amount of the reverb. So if you're sending any of the sounds to reverb via the reverb send here per pad, then this controls the overall decay of the sound and the amount. So you can just make it all sound really good and tailored to what your need or design is. So basically that's what this is. Right below the pads here, you see the preset section. So the preset section has 4 banks of drum kits, which are multi-kits, means that they have a kick, snare, hat, percussion, toms, cymbals, and all of that together as kits. But then we also have something special called the kick and snare combos. In many cases, what we really enjoy is that we've got some kind of a loop going, but we want a variety of kicks and snares we can immediately select and see from one kit. So we don't have to keep switching kits to see what works. So these combos are actually created and designed for you to get those kind of kicks and snares working for your track immediately. So you can just listen to any of these presets and stick on one that you like. And then later you can add percussion and stuff with more instances of this plugin to get you going quickly. Similarly, then we have individual kits for claps, cymbals, hats, percussion, reverse, and toms, and all of that, because that gives you, like if you want a specific clap or you're adding an additional track, that's where you want just samples of claps. So just samples of hi-hats and percussion and, reverse sounds, toms, what have you in the synthwave genre. So we have all of that laid out and mapped out for you already. So the idea is quick workflow, and this preset system will give you that pretty much, I guess, pretty quickly. Again, you can save your own presets or you can delete a preset if you wish. If you save in the spot that it is, if you had made a pattern, which I'll show you if you're in the sequencer page, and you forgot to save your pattern, no problem. When you save your kit, the pattern will automatically be saved, so your work will never be lost. So this is something we got in some of the previous versions where people were requesting this. Now we've put it through, so it's very easy to do. Here is a sequencer page, and right next to the sequencer page button, you see this other switch. So what is this switch? This switch basically switches on or switches off the sequencer, which is built into the machine. So say you've done a MIDI export or you're triggering the samples via your MIDI keyboard, then you don't definitely need the sequencer playing. It's going to play right on top of your MIDI programming. So you want to switch it off first and then do your manual programming. So the sequencer is there for you to program things quickly, but it's not something compulsory. You can, of course, play the entire kit as MIDI right in your DAW. So this is also a drum kit system, right? So you can do that, tweak the parameters of the sounds, and there you have it. Save your session, and it's going to be right there, open as many instances as you need. So that's what this is in a gist. Also, let's look at some of the global functions. So here, this is basically your login page for your license. So when you press that, you can either log out of the system, log into some other system, or just check in with your serial code and it works. But the first time you launch the plugin, that window will come up anyway. So you can enter your serial code or just log in. If you bought from the site, it's automatically going to authorize. Okay, here we have what is called a complete reset. This, when you press this button, basically it will reset everything. So when I press this, all the pads are cleared out and all the sequence is gone. So what that does is basically gives you a fresh start. So now you can drag and drop in your own samples onto any of the pads, or you can select them via browser. So when you go here, you can select any of the sounds, and even here you go. Listen to them. Set your preview volume here. And then that's it. Then you set a particular sound to a pad, or like I said, you can just drag and drop in. When you press save, those sounds will be copied into the kit area of your preset automatically. So in case you've moved those sounds, you don't have to worry. Your kit is always going to be intact. So this is what this is in a gist. And now let's look at the output. So generally it's set at LR, means the stereo output. So if you're using a stereo version of this plugin, then you just get a mix out, and all of this master EQ, compressor, reverb stuff works in that. But in case you're not, you want to split your tracks, then you go to what is called a multi-mode. So in a preset, if you save it as a multi-mode, what it's going to do is split the tracks into different channels or different stereo outputs. So you can basically, EQ your own kicks, snares, hats, all the pads individually as a stereo pair. Your DAW allows that. I'll show you how that's done in a bit. And so that way you have control over all the sounds, and you can further tweak, compress, use your own plugins and things right on the sounds, right from the system, never having to leave this particular plugin in terms of moving sounds and stuff or exporting. So that's how it is. Of course, if you like any particular pattern and you're not really interested in MIDI exporting, you can just bounce that offline, and that pattern is just a loop for you to use. It's copyright free. Okay, so let's go to the sequencer page and let's look at some of the sequencer functions. So here we are at the sequencer page. Let's look at what this does. So right over here on the right side, you see a global swing. So if you have a pattern which is playing, you can add swing to it. And then that's back to straight pattern. So that's what this does. The clear button here will clear the entire pattern system, like clear the lanes, clear all the pattern programming that you've done. It's going to be gone. And here with MIDI export, if you like the pattern you've made, you can just drag and drop into your DAW, and there you have it. It's there with all the programming that you've done out here. So if you just want to export it as MIDI and then, use it or tweak it further in MIDI, you can do that. Even if you drag it to your desktop, it'll be a MIDI file. So when you program your own, say, tom fills and things like that, it's nice to just do that and bounce it off. So that's a great feature we have right here. Okay, now let's look at the window below this. This is basically where your patterns are stored. So per kit preset, you can store up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patterns, and you can browse between them. You can delete or save other patterns. And here is a time signature. So this is running at 1/16 divisions. You can also run at 1/32 or 64 if you want those trill toms, like which are very fast and sequenced together. You can do that, or triplet kind of hats and things. You can program it right here with this timing change. Very easy to use. Here the sequencer is playing, so this shows where it's going to loop. So in case you select any other bar, it will just keep looping in that section. So in case you want to make shorter patterns and fills and things like that, this is an easier place to do that, right? Pretty simple. That's about it. Now let's look at like a per pad parameter system. So as you open the lane of a particular pad, now this is the same in every pad lane, right? You're going to see the pitch, note length, velocity, the reverb send, and the pan. So there are different lanes. By default, the pitch is selected, and then you have velocity, you have reverb, you have pan. So in the pitch, you can change the pitch per step. So in case I want to change the pitch of my kick drum, this is how it's going to sound. So if there is a particular step over there which is clicked in, that means you have a working step which is playing. You can program that lane. The same is for note length. You can just increase the length of the note in case it is on a continuous playback and there's no release. You can make certain snares longer and certain shorter, actually adding more dynamics to your programming and more variety and things like that. Velocity is very important, especially when you program hats and things. You want things to be louder and softer per note or per step. So that gives you even more variety and more dynamics, and rather than just a straight off drum machine. So giving you a little more human vibe if you want to add that, I always do that. Then there's a reverb send. So say on a snare, you want a longer reverb. We can do that. Say on this particular snare, we choose a reverb, and then that's how it'll sound. You hear that? So again, you can change the decay of the reverb and amount in the global section, which is right back here. You can add more decay and all that, and it'll sound different. So there you go. So another kind of funny or funky stuff that you can put in and really make things dynamic. That's why sequences are pretty good, because doing this on your own as a MIDI track, it's difficult. You have to go into the automation parameter lanes and find that particular parameter and then automate it. It's a mess. Right here with the sequencer, you can do that and just export it, and your automation will carry on forth to your MIDI file. So that's how basically this is. Right here also we have the solo, mute, and the delete. So you can delete an entire pad programming if you wish, and then reprogram it the way you want to. And then of course this scrolls down in case you have parameters going beyond the visible space. You can do that, bring it right back up. Your mouse will also work here in case that's something you're using, or your trackpad. So that's the gist of it. That pretty much spells it all out. That's what this entire system is about. Very easy to use. Let's do one thing. Why don't we just program our own some kind of tom fill or something, and then see how this sounds. I do like one particular kit called Arcade, whose toms are really nice. Let's listen. Cool. So we can take that and then program a drum fill. So let's go to sequencer, and then let's just clear all the patterns. Let's just go to the lanes of tom, and then let's do some trill kind of vibe. So let's go 1/32, and that's nice. Let's program some pitch in this, right? Let's go down. Let's add some pan to this particular one. So there you go. We've immediately just programmed a fill. And all we do is just drag this onto your MIDI system, which is your track on your DAW, and you can switch off the sequencer and then just play it, or just sample it, or just direct audio record it. If you don't use MIDI at all, you don't have to do that. You can just bounce it off and your trill is done, right? So the inbuilt sequencer is actually pretty handy and pretty cool, and does pretty cool things. So already the sounds here are mapped in the, C4 space, basically, I think so, and carries on from there. But say you want to change this and say you want to map it to your MIDI controller, you can do that also. So this is MIDI mapping your pads to either, if you have a real kit or whatever. It's very simple. So on the right side here, you see the key to which a particular pad that you have selected is mapped. All you do is press that. So now it's mapped to your particular control. You can also map, continuous knobs and things. So say your snare, this particular one you want to map, you just select the pitch on the right side, say MIDI learn, and then you have that. So you have. So then if you have these mapped, then you can play your MIDI drums and all that via your pads or keyboards and write in these automations. And that's where you get it. It's a proper drum machine just working for you. So that's what this is about. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it's a simple explanation of how things work here. If you have any questions, queries, or any comments, please write below. We are always here to listen, and any advice, any suggestions for future versions, please let us know. We love to listen and we love to implement stuff. Thank you again for watching. It was fun being here, and I'll be back again with another video. Ciao.